This lesson is going to be 2.6 point slope form. Okay, let's look and see what point slope form is. So here is point slope form. It is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And that is where x1 and y1 is a solution. So if you have a point and you know what the slope is of that point, if you have a point that you know lies on a line and you know the slope of that line, you can plug those in to get your point slope form. All right, let's do an example. Let's say that we have a line with a slope of 2/3 and that it passes through the point -6, 1. So this can be written as, so interpreting this from point slope form, we have y1, x1, so this is my x1, y1, so I just plug these in here. So first off, y minus y1, and y1 is 1, equals my m value, m, which my slope is 2/3, so 2/3 times x minus x1, so minus x1 is minus -6, well minus -6 is just plus 6, okay? And so that's the answer. Where this is my y1, this is my x1, oh, and I forgot to put, here's my slope, right? Okay, and notice that both are being subtracted right here, right? 6 is not my x1, but -6 is my x1, right? So maybe that is more helpful to see it that way. Okay, let's go ahead and do some examples from the book. So I want you to do page 80, numbers 1 through 3 all. Pause the video and come back here. All right, so let's look at them. All right, so I'm looking at number 1, we've got the point 1, 2, and m is equal to -4. So I'm going to label these. This is x1, y1, and I already have my m value given to me. So I'm going to write this out. It's y minus y1. And notice that when I'm saying minus, I'm writing the minus before I'm even looking at this number. So y minus y1, which is 2, is equal to m times x minus, once again I wrote the minus before looking at the number, x1. All right, that's my answer there. So I'm going to box this answer. There it is. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Y, and now here's the important thing. Right here we have, I'll label these real quick. Right here we have 0 as our y1 value. In point slope form, it's actually important to include -0, even though -0 shouldn't change the problem at all. So you wonder, is it important to write the -0? Well, it is, because if you don't write it, you get a different form. So we're just going to write the -0, okay? And same with this 1. We're actually going to keep the 1 in front, even though it seems pointless to do that. It's actually important, because if I didn't write the 1, once again, you would have a problem that looks like slope-intercept form instead of point slope. So we have to include nonsensical things like -1 and -0 and times 1. Okay, minus x1, which is 7, and that's my answer. So a note that I kind of want to add to this is not where you leave out the -0, because it seems like you would leave out the -0, and then you leave out the times 1, so then you end up like this. Notice how this is actually slope-intercept. So we actually don't want this version, right? We don't want that as our answer. Okay, so I'm going to put an X through it. We don't want that, okay? It's not the right form. All right, let's go ahead and move on to this one now. So y minus y1, notice again that I am writing in the minus before I even look at the number. And here's why you can do that. Because now I'm subtracting a negative number. So instead of writing minus -5, that would be kind of weird, right? Instead, I'm going to write y plus +5, right? You can write the minus because you can always add the plus after the fact. Equals m, which is -3/4, times x minus, once again I wrote the minus before looking at the number, -8. Okay, negative means add 8. And that's my answer. Okay, let's keep going. So what happens if I don't have a slope? So if I have no slope given, well, that means I have to remember how to calculate for the slope. So I need to set up my points and I need to find the slope. Let's do an example. So let's say that I don't know the slope, but I do have 2 points that I know that the line passes through. 2, 4, and 5, -2. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to label each one of these. I'll label the first set x1, y1, and the second set x2, y2. It doesn't matter which one's the 2's and which one's the 1's and which one's the 2's. They could be flipped if you want, as long as if you're labeling both of these the same number, both of these the same number. I should say the same subscript. That's what this 2 is right here. That's what this 1 is right here. Okay, making sure that that matches up. All right, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and solve for the slope. So m is equal to -2 minus 4 over 5 minus 2. I get -6 on top, 3 on bottom. -6 divided by 3 is -2. So now I have my m value. So now I can just use the points that I'm given. Either one is fine. Notice that I have an answer here given the first point where I do -4. So y minus y1, which is 4, equals the slope, -2, times x minus x1, which is this 2. Or I could use this point. It really doesn't matter. Y minus -2, which is +2, equals -2 times x minus 5. Okay? And that corresponds with this point right here. Notice that both of these are correct. Both of these are written in point slope form, just 2 different ways to represent the same answer. If you don't believe me, go ahead and simplify these and get them into slope-intercept form, and when you do that, you'll realize they create the same exact equation, identical equations. Okay, let's go ahead and pause the video again, and I want you to do page 81, numbers 4 through 6. So go ahead and pause, and let's go ahead and do them. All right, so now we have a few problems here that we don't know the slope on. So off to the side for each of these, I'm just going to solve the slope. Okay, I'll label them right here. x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay, and I'll do that with each of these. x1, y1, x2, y2, x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay, so let's do number 4 first. All right, so I need to do y2, which is -4, minus y1, which is 1, over 3 plus 2. Okay, this becomes -5 over 5, which gives me -1. Now I have my slope. I get to pick either of these. So I'm going to write both the answers. You don't have to write both the answers, but I'm going to just so everyone can see their own correct answer. Okay? So here I've got my first possible answer, or if I use the second set of numbers, I'm going to use the same slope, but I should get an equation that looks like this. So notice that this one corresponds with this, and this one corresponds with this one. Okay, next problem. y2 minus y1, so I get plus 5, x2 minus x1, so it's plus 5, 8 over 2, which is 4. Okay. Once again, I'm going to write down the answer for both of them. Y plus 5 equals 4 times x plus 5. Or y minus 3 equals 4 times x plus 3. Once again, I'm going to go ahead and show that those 2 points correspond to those two equations. All right, last one, y1 or y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1, 3 over 6 equals 1/2. That's my m value. And finally, we got y minus 6 equals 1/2 times x plus 8. This corresponds here. Y minus 9 equals 1/2 times x plus 2. There we go. We got another corresponding one. All right, so that's it for that part. We are now going to transition into one more set of notes, so I'll meet you in the next video for that.